memories, celebrations in the tunnel at Old Trafford?
Yeah, and I think rightly so. They deserve to have a bit of something to sing about in that tunnel, especially after the first half, especially. But I think the international break's come at a bad time for them. A great result like this, you need a game straight round the corner to continue that momentum.
It's a good point, that, actually, because it's very easy for us to sit here and talk about, you know, a moment that changes the season for Manchester United. But, you know, they have got a late win at home against a side in the bottom three. The point is they have to build on this now big time, don't they? It's about the next few results.
Yeah, absolutely, because they've got some really difficult games coming up. And if they play anywhere near as badly as they played in the first half, they're just going to lose all the time. I mean, they were 10th, I think, this before the game started, and they were 10th for a reason. And listening to the boys in the studio, their performances have been nigh on woeful when you consider the order and the history of Manchester United Football Club. So, yeah, they got out of jail today in the second half of the game. But they need to carry on because they've got some really difficult games coming up. And they'll lose them, Jake, because they're not good enough.
And they've got Juve twice, Chelsea, you know, Manchester City, all in the next 6 games. I mean, that's quite a list of games to be playing. But it has to be better. They have to get the results now. This is almost like the moment where it either changes or doesn't.
You know what, Jake? Today, they come up against a Newcastle side that have hardly scored any goals this year. It's the first time they've scored 2 goals, and they could have scored 5. Defensively, they play like that against any of those sides, they're going to be banging trouble again. So it's a great result, but you don't want to kind of fear that it's just papered over the cracks.
Yes.
You know, that is the worry, I suppose, when you kind of look forward. Enjoy the moment, shown great character, brilliant spirit within the team. Fantastic from Jose to make the changes at the right time. But, you know, going forward, you know, I don't think Manchester United fans, or I don't sit here and look at Manchester United and think, oh, they're going to be fine. No, at all. So I think that's the worry, I suppose.
I said last week it was a pivotal moment, and I thought so. Today, even I was here, signs up saying, you know, we support Jose, it's the board's fault. The crowd were singing a song, a derogatory song about it's not Jose, it's the board. And something has changed now at United, and I wonder whether if they lose a game again, one of those games, whether it'll come around quite quickly. And I think it's set in motion now for change here. I really do.
So you think, what are you saying, regardless of results, you think maybe there'll be a change of manager?
Well, listen, unless they win every single game going forward. But I can't see them doing that with that team that they had out today. I know they got the results in the end. But what I saw in the first half and what I saw in the second half, I don't think they've got enough to climb the table to satisfy everybody here. I really don't. I just don't think that they're good enough. I think they're 3, 4, 5, 6 players away from being anywhere near the top 4 sides. And what I've seen recently. Now, they have to prove everybody wrong and fly up the table and play a lot better than what they've done. But the way the fans were against the board today, and, you know, the cameras panning up on the board and people questioning it, and then Jose's rant at the end game, which I thought was madness at times, some of it. The way the fans were against the board today, and, you know, the cameras panning up on the board and people questioning it, and then Jose's rant at the end game, which I thought was madness at times, some of it.
What about it was madness?
Well, I just don't know who he's referring to, because the 10th in the league when they finished second last year, he spent loads of money on players that he's not playing. The performances are nowhere near good enough. So I don't know what who he's ranting about. I really don't. He's manager of Manchester United.
Well, he's probably ranting about the press reporting that he's lost his job.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
And he's probably also talking about the kind of comments and the conversations we have on this show.
I'd like to say that, because if that's the case and he doesn't believe this comes with the territory, he's Manchester United manager, the richest club in the world, got one of the best histories of winning things in the world. He's 10th in the league after spending nigh on, I don't know how much he spent. You don't want to talk about
his net spend is 300 million.
He's Manchester United manager. If you're manager of Liverpool, Manchester United, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Juventus, you expect the scrutiny. That's why you get paid twice, 3 times, 4 times more than everybody else does. So I'm baffled by it. The 10th in the league. If he was second and getting this criticism, I'd go, fair enough. You know, people are out of order.
He does have the best win percentage of any Manchester United manager.
Yeah, after 2.5 years. Come back in 20 years after Sir Alex Ferguson, tell me that then. But he's bought all kinds of players and doesn't play them.
I say it is what's frustrating for people that watch Manchester United. They see that second half there and you can go, wow, there was that, we talked about the commitment, the desire, the fight and stuff, yeah. But when I've watched Man United for probably about a year now, probably especially this season, I don't see a real identity. We spoke about it before. I don't really see an identity. That's the frustrating thing. When you have a team for 2 or 3 years, surely you have an imprint of your personality, an imprint of your philosophy and ideas within that team. I don't see it here. We showed some clips before the game about Manchester United. When you watch them, like I couldn't really pin down and say this is their go-to pattern of play. When the keeper's got the ball, where do they go? When the keeper gets the ball at Man City, you know where they're going to be. The people on the park are going to be. When the ball gets into the forward areas, where are the front three of Liverpool going to be? You've got an idea. There's movement, there's interchange, there's this. The 2 wingers at Man City, wide, high and wide. There's an identity to these teams. The teams that Man United are trying to catch. Where's Man United's identity in the football sense? That's what I look at and I'm frustrated with. Because far too often I see things don't go the way they're meant to go at the beginning of the game. The ball goes up to Fellaini. Yeah. And that's the out ball. Watford, they done it. Got the goals off the back of going up to Fellaini. I don't see where the ball goes into Pogba and that's a trigger for players to move. That's what happens at the biggest and best teams. The ball goes into particular players on the team and people have movements off that player. Or if they go to the left back, where does part of a players in the team shift to?
And what does that come down to?
That comes down to getting your ideas across to the players so they know what to do.
It comes down to the manager.
Yeah,
what they do on the
that's the type of scrutiny that comes with the territory.
They've won 3-0 in the second half and they played great and they played nice and quick and they moved forward and they had confidence. But the way they finished the game, they're not going to start the next game like that with that formation. So it was as if it was just
all or nothing,
right, all or nothing. Right, let's go, let's get forward and let's see what can happen. And the next game they play, they're not going to go right, Pogba, Matic, Smalling, 3 at the back and play that way, are they? They're not. They're going to go back to what they know. And it's whether that's good enough in the end. So it'll be interesting to see.
Final question, with this result in mind, do you see any change other than Jose Mourinho not lasting too much longer than Manchester United manager? As Steve has already said, he still thinks that is going to be the eventual outcome.
I think a question from the people above would have been, can he get a reaction out of this squad? Can he get a reaction on that pitch? The last couple of weeks, we haven't seen that. Today, there's been a shift. And to be honest with you, you have to give him credit, because on that line, I said in the previous show, he's going to need a rub and a warm down. The amount of movement he showed, the amount of passion, desire, the way he was pushing his team on from the touchline. That's what people want to see. So he's ticked one box there. But then it's about time. The next time the game comes around, can he get the results? Can he start forming some consistency with this squad?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's Mourinho that might leave, but I just think once the board start getting criticised, something has to happen to appease the fans, because I don't think the performances will roll on and get better and better and better of what I've seen from this side.
OK, Dave has sent us a message using #PL Tonight. Please, Jose, keep playing that system. The players will want to play for you if you let them attack. They look together and ambitious during that second half. Josh says that last half an hour is as good as it's been at United for a long time. The problem was the first hour was as bad as it's been. And Jade, second half is the United we know and love, so why do we always have to be losing for that Man United to appear? We need that spirit from the get-go. Loads of comments coming in. Keep them coming. #PL Tonight. We'll take a quick break, but before that we'll hear from a couple of other fans at the game. Have a listen.
Just come out of Old Trafford, that just felt like United of old. It felt like a vintage United performance. OK, it was against Newcastle, but to go 2-0 down, everyone was feeling deflated. The crowd was sort of just, they'd had enough. And to come back like that, the way we did, a great free kick from Mata, the goal, the play between Pogba and Martial, and then Alexis Sanchez, who's had so much stick for him to get the winner. It just felt like United of old, it did. And it doesn't matter it's against Newcastle. The fact is, we got the 3 points. The place was pumping at the end there. Old Trafford was absolutely pumping. It just felt great. It's the best feeling I've had at Old Trafford all season. That's not saying much, but it just felt like United of old, and it's great to finally get a win and get a performance and see that the team are really still fighting for the players, fighting for the team, fighting for the badge.
Welcome back. Keep your thoughts coming in. Hashtag PL tonight. Straight after us, there's some boxing, so stick around for that. But first of all, we're going to hear from Alex. He's a Manchester City fan, and this is what he wants to ask the guys.
Hi there, guys. Alex here. We're talking about Jadon Sancho. As a Manchester City fan, it was disappointing to see him leave, especially in the manner that he did leave. I do think that you could look at Phil Foden and Brahim Diaz and Alexander Zinchenko, and those sorts of younger players are getting minutes at Manchester City, and I don't think that it was that he would have been rotted in the reserves at City, but the way the performances he's putting in for Dortmund, he's wearing the number 7 shirt out there, he's playing loads of football, it's definitely worked out for him, and in that sense, you've got to wish him well and power to him. I'd like to know, as both a Manchester City fan and an England fan, what the guys in the studio make of that, and also how do they think that he should take his next step, and how did England manage his potential and manage his talent and get the absolute best out of him?
What do you make of the hype then around Jadon Sancho?
He's the best. He's the best, potentially the best talent we've got, bar none.
So it's not hype?
No chance. He come from the same area as me, so I know a lot about him. I know his dad. Seen him play a fair bit. A lot of my mates are very, very close to him and the family. And this kid's the truth. He's got everything. He's got skill, pace, tenacity, desire, commitment. He gets goals. He's top assist man in Europe at the moment. He's only played about 180 minutes, or whatever it is.
He made his first start today, didn't he? For Borussia Dortmund.
And he set one up. I saw him. I saw the game.
We can see it actually. I think we've got the assist from today.
Yeah, he set one up.
I mean, you know, you can look at all the assists that he's had, and here they all are clipped together from the season. How can you be so sure though about a player who's only played a couple 100 minutes of top
I just said to you, potentially he's the best
that's what we're talking
we
about.
have, regardless. But he's got to go out and prove it. Look, sit down. He's got the skills. He's got the know-how. He's making decisions. His decision-making was what is impressing me. I always knew he had the ability. He's got skills to stand people up and leave them for dead, yeah? But it's decision-making at this stage that sets you apart as a good player or a top player. And that's what he seems to be doing on a consistent basis when he's getting these opportunities now.
I just think we have to be careful, Jake, that's all. I mean, I totally agree. I said hype before because I'm worried. I always worry that we go overboard on our young kids too early. And he's a great talent, like Phil Foden, like Ryan Brewster, like the 17s who won the World Cup and the 20s who won this. They're all wonderful talents. We just need them to play more football if they can and keep on producing the performances that they're doing now, albeit in the minutes that they've had.
But that's the one worrying thing I do find is that our young players are now looking elsewhere. Not in the Premier League, they're looking to go elsewhere.
It's positive, though, isn't it?
Positive in some respects, but I want to be in England and I want to watch young English players come through.
I agree.
That's the problem. And Phil Foden, you could question whether he's right to stay there. I think he's earning great experience training with the best players. That's fantastic. But at the end of the day, you find out about people out there on the pitch. And it's like the same with Loftus-Cheek's the perfect example. Yeah. Went to a World Cup off the back of a good few games for Crystal Palace. Comes back to Chelsea, sit down, get on the bench.
So how can it be a negative to go abroad, play top flight in Germany?
It's a positive in some extent, but ideally you want him to come through here.
You want to see talent here. Unfortunately, they've got this raft of players above them where there's so much money in the Premier League. Why take a chance on a 17, 18-year-old kid when his form could go like that, when you can go and buy, you know, a full international who's played 50 times for this country? You can go and get him from anywhere you want. And that's the sad thing for all us English players sitting here. We all got our chances at a young age coming through the clubs, and that's what we want to see. We want to see more and more English players come through, but we know how difficult it is.
You know what, though, Maka? I mean, you're the perfect person to speak in terms of this, but you went abroad at a really, obviously, more experienced stage within your career, right at your peak. And the experiences you went through at a massive football club, you can't say that wouldn't have, if you'd have done that a lot younger, it wouldn't have helped you with England at major tournaments or at an English club. I just think that, you know, what Jadon's going through right now and what he's experiencing at a massive football club, by the way, in Germany, and the pressures of doing that in the Champions League, that's only going to help England in the long run. We're always talking about not being able to perform at major tournaments and that the Germans manage to do it or the Spanish can do it because they play this style of football and that style of football. Well, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. You know, our younger players going out there and getting experience. And we have now got an England side where we don't have the luxury of just picking from the Premier League anymore, which is why we're getting Mason Mount in the team, who's a fantastic talent, but he's in the Championship, but he's getting minutes. So I mean, I personally was disappointed at Foden wanting the team, you know, because again, I look at our midfield and I kind of go, we need something different in there. I want a ball carrier. I want someone who's comfortable
But again, he's
receiving
not
the
getting
ball.
chances.
Not getting the chance,
is he?
yeah.
I think we're in a moment now where I can look at a player. You know, we talk about Club England all the time. Well, if it's Club England, then you promote from within. And Gareth would have seen Phil, you know, through 17s, 18s, 19s, 20, wherever he's been playing, and gone promote from within. That's Club England. So. And as Rio said, his education of training with Manchester City every single day. I'm sorry, but for me personally, that's enough. I'm saying, come and train with us, and he would have seen him. That's enough for me.
You don't mind? I mean, his performance against Oxford, albeit it was Oxford, was excellent. Sorry, George, was excellent, wasn't it? And he was brilliant there. And I don't mind Gareth bringing them in and having a look at them in training and playing them if they want, and seeing if they're ready and seeing what they're like around the dressing room and seeing what they're like with other players. I've got no problem with that at all. But if he's taken somebody's place who's playing week in, week out and playing very well, and then suddenly this kid who's not playing much is in front of you, I think that's when it starts to get a problem.
Well,
I'm all for these young kids going and play. I just think they need minutes. That's why I'm fine with them all going out on loan, as long as they're playing proper men's football where 3 points means absolutely everything to your teammates.
And I think a big part of Jayden's makeup, which is being proved now, is his mentality. For a young kid at that age who's being told he's the next best thing at one of the biggest clubs in our country, for him to say, hold on a minute, I don't believe I'm going to get the minutes, I'm going to go elsewhere, and then start producing, that's massive.
That's exactly what people are saying on here. And thanks for your comments. James says, Jadon Sancho moving to the Bundesliga is not a failure of the English system. It's about a brave young man making a decision to try and better himself. If others follow his lead, it will not be to the detriment of English football. It will make our national team better. Alex says, I'm strongly rooting for Jadon Sancho to keep doing well at Dortmund. He's the perfect example for Chelsea of what they could lose if they don't give Hudson-Odoi ample minutes. And actually, that's a really good message, that, because if you're now a manager in the Premier League, you think, you know what? I like that guy, but he's only 18. I'm not sure I can trust him yet. I'll leave him on the bench. I won't play him. Well, guess what? You're now going to have their agents and the players knocking on your door going, I've seen Jadon Sancho at Dortmund, so that's an option for me. And thankfully, clubs in the Bundesliga and maybe other European clubs will give our young players an opportunity. And surely, eventually, the managers in the Premier League will go, I better play that guy because I'm going to lose him abroad.
The amount of players now that are going on loan to foreign clubs, not just in the Championship. There's lots. Liverpool have had them, Chelsea have had them, everybody's having them now. That is opening the door to everybody, whether it be Holland, Germany, Italy.
Because we need to find a way to put pressure on managers in the Premier League to play these players.
It comes from the owners of the clubs, though. It comes from the owners of the clubs that you're going to be afforded the time to integrate young players into this team. We spend how much of our money, how many millions a year on our youth system at our training grounds? And as an owner, you have to demand to see a certain quota come through.
There's something else about this as well, though, isn't there? Because you could look at Loftus-Cheek at Chelsea, and you don't get the impression that he would make Chelsea a worse side or would put pressure on the manager. There still seems to be this thing about English
system,
players.
Jay, that's why. When you come through the system, it's not as hard for the club to kind of go, well, you're not playing or you're not going to come through.
They've paid no
when
money
they
for
put
you.
money on your head, somebody's got to answer for something, because that's how I came through the system. I was at Nottingham Forest. Newcastle put down huge money for me at the time as a teenager, and I arrive at Newcastle, and I'm telling you, my first 2 weeks at Newcastle, I was shocking. Like in training, I was absolutely shocking. Couldn't control about it.
That didn't change much over the years.
Leave it out. I had to get that in. All right, lads. But because of the money they put on me, you know, Bobby, and because he was the one who really kind of said, I believe it, and that's why you're going to spend it, they got to play you. You've got backing, and that's what these players have to do. They need to get some backing behind them, and Rubin's, he's a prime example of that.
It's hard for him. We were at the game last week. You've got Barkley not playing, Drinkwater not playing, Fabregas not playing, and then you throw in Loftus-Cheek as well. I mean, you see how difficult it's going to be for the lad to get in the first team. New manager comes in, everything's, you know, a fresh slate with everybody, and he's way down the list. So it might be a case of, unfortunately for Chelsea, that, you know, his contract runs out and he moves on again to bigger and better things, because he's just played in the World Cup and he's come back and he's not playing at all.
One thing Sarri did say about Loftus-Cheek, he said, I've got to coach him to play the way I want to play. I saw that in the media. So that's one good thing. He's going to get coached well, because this guy looks like he's a fantastic coach.
Well, maybe if they'd paid 35 million quid for me to coach him while he's playing in the first team. We'll continue this conversation in just a couple of moments. We're going to take a very short break. If you want to carry on... If you want to carry on with Premier League tonight, press the red button. We're going to go on to BT Sport 1 Extra. George, by the way, is the Oxford supporting analysis guy that works with us, in case you're wondering. Right, Dempo, all yours for the boxing.
Don't just smile, Jake. Say
You know what
something.
it was? When we came in there, the bosses were like, we'll see how good the 3 are.
You're right.
And if they're no good,
You're going to be all right.
I've got a sore throat as well, battling through. The great thing is we can stay in there till 11 p.m.
Great for who?
Let's carry on the conversation.
Where's that tumbleweed just rolling across?
Jadon Sancho, I really want to get into what it was like when you came through. I mean, we talk about hyped players. You would have been the second most expensive British teenager ever when you went to Newcastle. So what would your advice be to Jadon Sancho to make sure that things keep on going in the right direction, him dealing with the hype, the pressure that comes?
Because it's exactly what the lad's been saying. Play football. You've got to be out there to kind of learn how to deal with that pressure. Learn what it's like to go through games like here at Old Trafford or Champions League, and that's what I went through, and it's exactly what Jadon's going to be going through. The minute you're sat down on a bench somewhere, not doing anything, people catch you up very quickly, and they'll go past you in the blink of an eye, whether they're in the Championship playing men's football or whether they're in the Premier League. So the most important thing for Jadon, he's already made the most important decision probably of his life by saying to Manchester City, where he could have sat there and really enjoyed life, by the way, and had a fantastic education under Pep, but he said, I need to go and play. And it's not a matter of, I'll wait till I'm 19, 20. I think he was 17, 18 when he made that decision. And that's probably, honestly, he'll look back towards the end of his career and he'll go, that was the best decision I ever made.
He's not shy, by the way, in making that decision, because he left Watford to go to City earlier and they paid a big fee for him, and he's done it again. And I spoke to Shinji Kagawa, our old teammate at Man United, the other day about him, and he said, top player.
Really?
So that's in a short space of time he's been there, he's had an impact at that football club, because they know they're dealing with someone who could go on. And don't forget, last year they sold Dembele for how much? 100 and something million pounds. And he's on that pathway. So, but the thing with Foden, going back to him, yes, he's getting a great education. I think the most important thing for him is what's he being told in terms of his pathway. And that's what we don't know yet. And I'm sure Pep would have plans for him, and hopefully there's a plan and a pathway right into that first team.
Whenever we talk about young players coming through, we often put the onus on the managers to play them, or the board to give the manager time to allow the manager to play them. Don't we need to have a conversation, though, about young English players at 16, 17, not just signing the 60 grand a week to sit on the bench at Chelsea, but to take a bit of a risk with their career at times and not chase the money?
No, but I think
which
at 16 you feel invincible, don't you? At 16 you probably believe that you can play in the first team. And if you are good enough, like Trent Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool, even I know Joe Gomez came in from Charlton, but he's shown that they're good enough when he's been given the opportunity, and now they both play, and they seem to be first choice. So the 16-year-olds are thinking that that's the path for them. They all want to play for the club that they've chosen, and they probably believe at that age that that's the best thing they can do. So I've got no problem doing that, but there has to become a point then where you think, whether it's 19, 20, 21, 22, this is actually not happening. Yeah. And then you have to choose the right time to possibly move on. But and it comes to kids.
You need, at that age that Macca's talking about there, when it's crunch time, well, I'm not getting minutes, should I stay? I've got a great offer on the table to renew my deal. The thing that's important and key around that moment is the advice you're getting around that time, the people you've got around you, your team, your management team, your family, because you've got to make a decision for football reasons at that time in your life. It's not about money. Money will come to you when you do the job on the pitch. That's a given in today's game. You're a millionaire now straight away.
Is this your advice? Yeah. Sorry, you run New Era, a talent management company looking after young players. Is that, though, the advice you would give a young player who's being offered?
Yeah, don't think about money. You just talk about your own experiences. When I was a kid, I didn't think about cash. It's not about cash. It ain't.
Let's be honest.
My mum and dad needed money.
At the age of 15, 16, what was you being offered? So, you wasn't being offered 50 grand a week.
There's a difference in terms of that, yeah. But what I'm saying to you, I could have gone to other clubs and got signing-on fees that would have made my mum and dad happy. Yeah. It would have been set. My mum and dad would have been going to houses that they'd never seen before, and been sitting there proud and happy and saying, my son's just got me this house. That was a given. Yeah. But my mum and dad didn't put that pressure on me. It wasn't about, you'll get there, perform, go and play your football. And I was of the same thinking. It's not about cash, because I know I'm going to have money and I'm going to be rich one day if I produce. And my first thoughts wasn't money, what I was going to be, car I was driving. It was all about going out in front of a crowd like this and being able to play at West Ham and make sure them fans believe in me as a footballer. And then I know at some point money will trickle in. And if you do it
Nowadays,
the right
everybody's
way,
going to be rich if you're playing first team football.
By the way, Chelsea, they are supposed the team that get heavily criticised because it doesn't seem to filter through to their own first team. But they have a system in place where these players do go out on loan. Whether it's to Germany and so on, and obviously Ruben went out to Palace last year, Mason Mount to Derby this year. They have a system in place. Yeah. It just doesn't come through to their own first team. Yeah, so those players, there does come a point, Jake, where it's on you to realise maybe I'm not good enough for this particular team. Yeah. If you don't, the bottom line of it all is if you're not good enough, then you're not going to make the grade. And you can't sit here talking about the English game, no chances. It's on you to be good enough to to get into that team. And if you're not, then you go to the next step, whether it's down a league or to another country. That is the bottom line.
Yeah, and you see now it pays. I mean, Chelsea got good money for Nathan Ake, didn't he? And he made the right move at the right stage. He's now playing Premier League football.
That's because it's become a business for Chelsea.
Well, I know.
Have young players, farm them out on $1 million or $2 million a year as a loan fee.
Well, exactly,
never play a first team game and sell them for 20 million.
That's not a bad business model.
No, but it's not great for the player.
But that's up to the player, though.
If he's playing, it is.
That's up to the player, isn't it, to stop that? As in, not sign a long-term contract or feel as... I mean, you can't comment on every situation, but they must know what the situation within the club at the time, and then they can move.
On players that don't play, by the way, and, talking about getting into the international scene, Ampadu for Chelsea doesn't get a game, starts centre midfield for Wales. Last 2 games played really well as well, by the way. It's about a manager knowing a player and understanding what they can do. It's not about, not all the time. I think when you're in a certain situation like Wales are in and what England are in right now, I just don't think you can be as picky. And I think that's obviously why Gareth has gone to the Championship and has to look at it.
So what about someone like, let's take Tammy Abraham as a good example. He will be on very good money at Chelsea. He keeps on going out on loan and the club keep on taking their nice tasty loan fee for that and they might pay his wages, all very good. But if he's not going to get a chance at Chelsea, where on earth does he go? Because it's hard to take a step down, but you would imagine there might also be a step down with wages as well if he's going to end up in the Championship or something. That's how easy it is to get into that difficult situation.
Yeah, but that's up to the player then to back himself. That's you saying that. You know what? It's not about. Like I used to have a saying with all my mates on my estate. If I play 1 minute of professional football at any level, I'll die a happy man. That was the way I lived and breathed as a kid. I just wanted to be a professional footballer, that's it. So you can't be too proud and be too egotistical to say, I have to make it at this particular club I'm at. Sometimes you're going to have to go, like I said, you're going to have to go down a level to come back again.
Come back again, start again, show people wrong.
Drinkwater.
Yeah.
He won the league at Leicester. He's at Chelsea now. He had to go down from Manchester United to do that. I could name loads of players that have done
Madison,
that.
I mean, he went up from Norwich, but he's not top.
You could name loads of people like that. You go down, you start again. You could get relegated with a team. You fight back up and start again, don't you? And try and prove people wrong.
That is exactly what Tammy's issue will be, though. He might be sat at Chelsea on £60,000 a week or whatever. Gets relegated in a Swansea side last year, and he might actually think, "Oh, I'm probably never going to hit this number again in terms of wages. Maybe I hang on." And that's the wrong decision to be thinking. Because like Rio says, and Mac is saying, you have to believe in yourself. Because you have to take those hits of getting relegated and learn from those moments. And the best players, and they build character. It's all about strength. Look at Harry Kane. It's all about strength of character and dealing with those issues. And eventually, if you are good enough, it's not 60, it's probably 120 or 150 anyway. So I think if you take the safe route, it usually don't work out for you.
You can see, though, how hard that decision is. If you're a young player that's been at a top side and someone says, look, leave Chelsea, leave City, leave Liverpool, leave Arsenal, go and join Norwich.
No, it's not. I don't think it's hard. I don't think it's hard. Not at all. I said before, you need to play football. You need to go out, whether it's in the Championship or League One or League Two, and know that 3 points means everything. That the fella you're playing with, his win bonus for getting 3 points is everything. It means everything to him. You're playing in front of 7,000 fans, 6,000, 5,000 fans who are desperate for you to win. You have to be playing that football. Forget playing academy football or under 23. It means nothing. You need to play grown-up football. And if you play well, someone will say, you know what, that kid's playing well for that team, we'll take him. And then you start the climb back up.
So is Gareth Southgate then playing a really smart game? Because for years and years we used to look at England squads and we used to say, please, form over fame. If you played at a big team, it felt like you got in, whether you were playing well or not. Suddenly, you can look at it and go, well, if you're James Maddison playing well at Leicester, you're in the England squad. If you're Mason Mount playing in the Championship, on loan, you get into the England squad. So now young players are thinking, well, actually, I don't need to be at the biggest clubs to play for England.
Now you don't.
No, exactly. So,
Then you
so this
don't.
is smart though from Gareth, isn't it?
Well, we'll
Because
always
it's
find
very
we'll always find a reason, won't we? Because you'd say, "Oh, Phil Foden's not playing enough to get into the squad," or I know he's not in the squad, but or something like that. Jadon Sancho has only started his first league game today. He's not playing. He's not played enough. Personally, I think it's great. I think he should get them all in and have a look at them. Definitely.
JJ's right. He's almost forced to do that because there isn't the depth that there was before. If you looked into the England midfield 10, 15 years ago, there was 8, 9, 10 the players you say they've all got a shout to play in there. Strikers the same. The likes of when you look at Sheringham, Fowler, Andy Cole, Ian Wright, Shearer, Les Ferdinand.
He could still be picking a Daniel Sturridge over a Mason Mount though. He could still be doing that.
But there's different positions. But I'm saying to you, if you look at the forward line, there isn't that depth there. If you look in the midfield, there isn't that depth there. If you look in central defensive areas, there isn't the depth that there was before. So yes, he can look now further afield for talent to come and play. And I think it's great for the young players to have a manager who's been part of the youth system, who knows the younger players, and will have the trust in them.
These are perfect games to do it. He's not doing it for the World Cup finals, big tournaments. These are the ideal times to bring them in, see what type of people they're like, and if they don't play well or he doesn't fancy it, fine. But it's perfect for him. He can't lose, really. It's great to see the young kids having a chance and playing well.
Kevin Phillips, Dion Dublin. There's loads you can keep going. How many of these strikers there was? You know what I mean? There's loads of them. Anyone else?
So finally, the biggest bit of advice is for young people, patience.
Back yourself.
It will come.
Back yourself.
Yeah, play football. Play and play.
Happens out there, Jay.
Happens out there. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for pressing the red button, and we will see you.
Thank you, 3 people, for pressing that red button. Brilliant.
Sacked. See you in a couple of weeks. Enjoy the international break. Take care. Goodbye.